Rational numbers. What are rational numbers? Rational number is a number that is expressed as a ratio of two integers, that is in the form of p by q. If a number is expressed in the form of p by q, and if this q is not equal to 0, then that number is a rational number. So we can say that a rational number is a number that is expressed as a ratio of two integers. Here p is an integer and q is an integer. P is an integer and q is an integer, and this q should not be 0. If it is, then those numbers are called rational numbers. Example is 3 by 2. This is a rational number because here 3, the numerator 3 is an integer, denominator 2 is an integer, and you can see it satisfies the condition that denominator is not 0. Hence this 3 by 2, this number is a rational number. Minus 10 upon 5. This is a rational number. So here the numerator is an integer, denominator is an integer, and it is not 0, so it is a rational number. And here 4 upon 0, this number, it's not a rational number. This is not a rational number because denominator should not be 0. If it is 0, then it is not a rational number. Why they say that denominator should not be 0? This q, why it should not be 0? To be a rational number, why this q should not be 0? So this is not a rational number, these two are rational numbers. And we say that as the denominator is 0, it is not a rational number. And why the definition goes like that? That if the denominator is should not be 0. See, normally if you take a number and if you divide a number, you will get a quotient, right? So 3 divided by 2, some quotient will come. So this 2 multiplied with what gives you this 3, and this is a quotient. So 2 multiplied by what gives you 3. 2 multiplied by 1.5 is 3. So this number, this quotient is defined. For this number, the quotient is defined. You can say what is the quotient. And if you take the next number, minus 10 upon 5, here this 5 multiplied by what gives you this 10, minus 10. So this is minus 2. 5 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 10. So here, this part, this quotient part, it's defined. The quotient is defined in these two numbers. In these two numbers, this quotient, it is defined. So if you can define the quotient, if the quotient is defined for a number, then those numbers are rational numbers. See, if you take this one, 4 upon 0, here 0 multiplied by what gives you this 4? Can you say that? 0 multiplied by what gives you 4? This is undefined. You can't say what is this. This is undefined. So if the denominator is 0 for any number, then the quotient is undefined. So those numbers are not rational numbers. That's why they say that the denominator of the number, when it is expressed in p by q, the denominator should not be 0. If it is 0, it means that this quotient is undefined. Hence, it is not a rational number. So this is not a rational number, whereas these two are rational numbers. So rational number means a number. It is a ratio of integers. Here this p and q are integers. It is a ratio of integers. That's why they say that the number which is in the form of p by q, and this q should not be 0. That is rational number. Now let's see types of rational numbers. What are the types of rational numbers? Integers. We say that rational number is a ratio of integers which is in the form of p by q. So here p and q are the integers. So integers. Example, here 3 minus 3. This is an integer number. It's a rational number. You can write this minus 3 as in the form of p by q, that is minus 3 by 1. So here p is minus 3 and q is 1. So it can be expressed, this integer can be expressed in the form of p by q, hence it is a rational number. And one more condition is that this is an integer, another condition, this q is not 0. So it is a rational number. This integer is a rational number. Integer 1, is it a rational number? Yes, integer 1 is a rational number. You can write 1 as 1 by 1. It can be expressed in the form of p by q. If you can express a number in the form of p by q, and if this q is not 0, then those numbers are rational numbers. So this integer minus 3 and 1 are rational numbers. What about 0? Is 0 a rational number? Yes, 0 is a rational number. You can write 0 in the form of p by q as 0 upon 3 or 0 upon 4 or 0 upon 5, anything. You can write it. So this 0 is also a rational number. So integers are rational numbers. Next type, fractions. Fractions. Fractions or fractions made up of integers, they are also rational numbers. Next type is fractions made up of integers. Example, here minus 8 by 4. This minus 8, numerator minus 8 is an integer, denominator 4 is an integer, and this is a fraction. So the fractions made up of integer is also a rational number. That's next type. And here the numerator, it's an integer, denominator integer, and denominator not equal to 0, hence it is a rational number. The third type is terminating decimals. Rational numbers comes in this form also, that is as a decimal number, and if it is a terminating decimal number, then it is a rational number. What is terminating decimal numbers? Like here, 0.75. Example is 0.75. So this 0.75 you can express in the form of p by q. You can write this 0.75 in the form of p by q as 75 divided by here 2 decimal place, so it's 100. So if you can write in the form of p by q, and this q, if it is not 0, then those numbers are rational numbers. So terminating decimal numbers are also a rational numbers. Next type is non-terminating decimal numbers. Non-terminating decimal numbers with repeating patterns. Repeating patterns, that if it is non-repeating, then it belongs to irrational numbers. Rational number means it should be with the repeating patterns. Like what is 3 by 10? 10 by 3. 3 by 10 is a terminating decimal number. Yeah. So for non-terminating decimal number, 10 divided by 3. What is 10 divided by 3? So it goes like that. 10 divided by 3. Yes. 3.333, it goes on. It goes on. So this is a non-terminating decimal number with repeating patterns. Yes, this 3 repeats. So you can say that this number is also a rational number. So non-terminating decimal numbers are also a rational number because you can express this number in the form of p by q, and this q, as it is not 0, hence it is a rational number. So these are types of rational numbers. Next, let's see how to list out the rational numbers between any two numbers. If you take a natural number 2 and 4, What is in between 2 and 4? Which number, which natural number comes between 2 and 4? It's 3. So you can know, you can define how many numbers comes between natural numbers. What about whole numbers? Between the whole numbers 0 and 2, how many numbers in between this? It is 1. How many numbers, that is how many integers between -1 and -3? It's -2. So for the natural number or for the whole number or for integers, the numbers in between, you can define it. There will be definite numbers in between the natural numbers or in between the whole numbers or in between integers. But if you take a rational number, like this, in between these two numbers, there are indefinite. In between these numbers, there are indefinite numbers in between it. So in between the rational numbers, there are infinite, or you can say indefinite numbers. We can't define how many numbers lies between these two rational numbers. Whereas between two integers, there is only definite integers in between this. Definite whole numbers in between this. You can define how many numbers in between these two numbers. Like that you can define it. Whereas in between rational numbers, you can't define it. You can't define how many numbers lies in between two rational numbers. Okay, now how to list out the rational numbers? First type, if the rational number comes as a fraction of two integers like -2 upon 5 and 1 upon 2. So how many rational numbers can you list out? Let's list out 5 rational numbers. 5 rational numbers between these two numbers. So to list out 5 rational numbers between these two numbers, first step, check the denominator. Denominator is here 5 and q. You have to make the denominator same. So to make the denominator same, take the LCM of these denominators, that is 5 and 2. What is the LCM of 5 and 2? LCM of 5 and 2 is 10. So 5 multiplied by 2, it's 10. So the LCM is 10. So you make the denominator, what we have to do, make the denominator of these two fractions as 10. 10. It's 10, 10. So now find out, to 5 multiplied by what gives you 10? It's 2. So numerator you have to multiply with the same number. So it comes 2 multiplied by 2, it's 4. And here 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. So 1 multiplied by 5, it's 5. So how many numbers between -4 and 5? So if you take a number line, it's 0, and to the right side it's positive numbers, all positive numbers, positive integers, and to the left side it's all negative integers. And now we have to list out the numbers between -4 and 5. So take the numerator, -4 and 5. So in between -4 and 5, you have the numbers -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So if the rational numbers in between these two numbers are, it's -3 upon 10, -2 upon 10, -1 upon 10, then 0, then 1 upon 10. So yeah, 5 numbers it's enough. If you want more numbers, you can continue listing out. So these are the numbers in between these two numbers, that is -2 upon 5 and 1 upon 2. Between these two rational numbers, to list out the numbers, first find the LCM of the denominators, because we have to make the denominator same. After making the denominator same, you can list out the numbers in between these two. The next example, between 3 upon 5 and 4 upon 7, between these two rational numbers, you have to list out 5 rational numbers. So for that, first step, take the LCM of the denominators and make the denominators of the fractions same. So here LCM of 5 and 7, it's 35. So if you make this denominator same by this LCM 35, here 5 sevens are 35, 3 sevens are 21, and 7 fives are 35, so 4 fives are 20. And in between these two numbers, can you list out 5 rational numbers? Is it possible? No, it's not possible. So after making the denominator same, if you can't list out the rational numbers, so you have to go for the next step. The next step is you have to take this number and multiply with any number. Like if you want 5 rational numbers, multiply this with 5 or 6, 7. So you will get a number bigger and you can list out numbers in between. So to list out numbers in between, see in this case, that is if you take this number, you can't list out. So in that case, just take the fraction and multiply with some number like 5 or 6. Let me multiply this with 6. And the same you have to do for this fraction. So if you multiply this with 6, it will go like 126 and this is 33 to 10. And this is 120 and it's 210. So after this one, between 126 upon 210 and 120 upon 210, how many rational numbers? Yeah, you will get 5 rational numbers. So if you want to get rational numbers in between, just multiply with any number. You can multiply with 7. If you multiply with 7, you will get 7 numbers in between this. So now let's list out the numbers in between these two, that is 125 upon 210, then 124, 123, 122 and 121 upon 210. So these are the 5 rational numbers between these two numbers. Next type is how to list out rational numbers between a integer and a fraction. So this is an integer and this is a fraction. So to list out the numbers between this, first step, can we write this 1 in a form of p by q as like this, 4 by 4 or 3 by 3. So this will be equal to 1. So write this in the form of p by q. Now, the denominators of both the numbers are same. But can we list out 5 numbers between this? No. In between this, it is only 3 upon 4 and 2 upon 4. So only 2 numbers are there. We need 5 rational numbers. So if you need more rational numbers, then if the denominators are same, but if you can't list out numbers in between 5 rational numbers, if you can't list out, then what you have to do next step, you have to multiply this numerator and denominator of both the fractions with any common number. Like let me multiply with 5. So if I multiply this with 5, it's 20 here and 20 here, and this is 20, yes, this will be 5. So now, between these two rational numbers, is it possible 5 rational numbers are there? Yes, there are more than 5. So now let's list out the rational numbers in between these two. It is 6 by 20, then 7 upon 20, 8 upon 20, 9 upon 20, 10 upon 20, 12 upon 20, 14 upon 20, 16, 17, 18 upon 20, 19 upon 20. So these are the rational numbers in between these two numbers. So after writing this in the form of p by q, if you can't list out these many numbers in between, then you just multiply these two fractions with any number. You can multiply with 6 or 7. I did by 5. After that, you can list out. Next is type 3. How to list out the rational numbers between a integer. Only one integer is given, that is, you have to list out the rational numbers which are smaller than this number 2. So to list out that, take this number 2 and write this number in the form of p by q. Write this integer in the form of p by q. So how can we write this number in the form of p by q? See, make the denominator any number. Like make it 15, or you can make it 20, or you can make it 25, anything you can make it. Denominator will be any number. Then for the numerator, to write the number in the numerator, this denominator you have to multiply with this number. So 15 multiplied by 2, it's 20. 15 multiplied by 2, sorry, it's 30. Then suppose if your denominator is 20, the numerator will be 20 multiplied by 2. And if it is 25 multiplied by 2, numerator will be 50. So instead of 2, you can write this number in the form of p by q as this, anything. I'm going to take this number. So here p by q is 30 by 50. So now we have to list out the 5 rational numbers which are smaller than this number 30 by 50. So which are the numbers smaller than this 30 upon 50? That is 29, 28, 27, 26, 25. So the numbers which are smaller than 2 are these numbers. You can also, if you take this one, it will be like 39 upon 20, 38 upon 20, 37 upon 20, like that. So denominator, you make it any number. Numerator, you just multiply and write. After that, you just list out whatever the number. If you want smaller than this, smaller numbers. Next type is listing out the rational numbers between two integers. So to list out the rational numbers between two integers, take the integers here minus 3 and plus 3. Write this integer in the form of p by q. So to write this in the form of p by q, your denominator should be same. You can make any denominator, like if you can take 7, or let me show another type also for the same number, another answer. Okay, so instead of 7 denominator, you can take 15, 25, 35, any denominator. You can take denominator as any number. The numerator, for writing the numerator, this denominator you have to multiply with this number. So 7 multiplied with minus 3 is minus 21. You have to write that number in here. Fill the numerator like this. So take this and multiply with this and fill in the numerator. 3 into 7, 27. Now, how many, you have to list out 5 numbers between these two numbers. What are they? They are, so minus 20 upon 7, minus 19, then minus 18, minus 16, minus 14, of course minus 15 is there, minus 17 by 7 is also there. We need only 5 numbers in between this, so just. What about this? If the denominator is 15, what will be in the numerator? Numerator will be 15 multiplied with minus 3, minus 45. And here it is plus 45. And in between these two, 5 numbers. So 5 numbers means what are they? They will be minus 44, minus 43, minus 42, minus 41 and minus 40. So to list out the rational numbers in between these two numbers, if it is integer, first step, make this in the form of p by q. Write it in the form of p by q, and to write it in the form of p by q, q should be the common denominator, same denominator. And numerator will be this number multiplied with this, you have to write. Then you can list out the numbers, whatever, how many numbers you need in between this, you can list out. That's it.